So let's talk about this because what we're doing together, we're not trying to make it a big secret, but I want to talk about how it came out of this living an inspired life before we, give the big reveal.
Absolutely. So, as you know, and anybody who listened to the last discussion we did on your podcast, I tend to not plan everything out in my life and business anymore, but I just kind of follow those inspired ideas that show up. And so, maybe about a month ago, I don't remember if I was out walking my dog or what I was doing, but I sort of had this idea drop into my head like, wouldn't it be cool to do an online course with Kevin Monroe about living an inspired or living an extraordinary life? And I thought I had just done another course with another co-creator, which is the first time I had ever done that. Since 2013, all of the courses I've created on my own, but I did this collaboration and it was kind of cool. And I thought, yeah, that might be cool. So I sent you, I don't remember if it was a text or an email, and I'm like, are you up for this? What do you think? And you said, sure. So that is exactly what we did.
Yes, it is. So this course is on living an extraordinary life. And when Debbie sent that, I looked at that and I was just like immediately yes. And it was an immediate yes because it's you listening. This is a journey. But Debbie could have asked me about a lot of things, and I probably would have said yes to just about most anything Debbie would have suggested. But when you said extraordinary life, I was at the point of wanting to do backflips. Now, I'm not in the physical shape to do backflips, so I didn't do any backflips, but I was doing them on the inside, Debbie. So let's talk about this.
Well, my mission really is trifold. It's to educate, inspire, and motivate people to really live their best life. And so, I talk about living an inspired life, but, I've watched what you've done. I've been in your community, this extraordinary life, and the challenges that you've done around gratitude and joy. And we did the Get Inspired Challenge. And I thought, especially right now, because there's so much chaotic craziness going on in our world. And I think a lot of people, myself included, kind of have days where we feel down and we're feeling a little bit reined in, like we can't go do everything we want to do. I just felt like let's discuss, and who knows better what living in an extraordinary life is all about than you, because you've had this community of people for a couple of years now, and I just thought it would be really cool, and it would fit within this concept of mine of really educating people. It's not teaching people systems, 7 steps to an extraordinary life or an inspired life, because I don't think there are systems that you follow. But, from life experience and from talking to people and learning what other people are doing to make the most of their life, it just seemed like a really, I don't know, interesting for me. Maybe nobody else would be interested in the course, but I thought I wanted to know, what is it that makes a life extraordinary? And I think part of me too wanted to know, is it kind of like living an inspired life? Like, are we talking semantics here, or is it something completely different? And that was what I wanted to delve into with you. And I think that's what we did in this course over, almost 6 hours of Zoom conversations that we spent.
It was 6.5 actually that we did. And that was amazing. So Debbie and I connected. We did these 6.5 hours of video. The course is now live. So tell us the name of the course, and then I'll let you ask me whatever you want to ask me about the course, Debbie.
Absolutely. So the course is called How to Live an Extraordinary Life, Transform Your Life from Ordinary to Extraordinary, and Live with More Intention, Meaning, and Purpose. And honestly, that is exactly what it is. So, Kevin, in our conversations, we discussed 19 what we called extraordinary life qualities. Now, I know I contributed 1. The rest all came from you when I asked you, so, send me an outline. What do you want to discuss when we do this course? And you sent me this long list of these qualities. Where did that come from? Because we had fascinating conversation, and we give people the opportunity to really reflect on if they're utilizing these qualities in their life, and if they're not, maybe how they can. But where did these 19 qualities come from?
Well, that's a great question, Debbie. And I loved it because actually doing that prep, I started looking up and realized that you and I were recording this conversation exactly in the same time period, 2 years later from when we hosted the very first, what we called Extraordinary Experiment. So 2 years ago, and we share this in the course, but actually it goes back a little further. It was April of 2018 that I was battling, and fortunately I can say this was the last bout of a depression I've had in my adult life. I hope there are no more, but you never know with depression. But I was battling a bout of depression, and one morning I struggled to get out of bed, and I'd gotten up and I was having my morning routine time, which includes prayer, meditation, and there was just nothing there that morning. And I just asked the Holy Spirit, the creative source of the universe, to spark creativity in me. And I was in this liminal space, half asleep, partially awake. And I remember laying on the floor, and 45 minutes later, but I have to go back. This is a quest I've been on all of my life, right? I remember telling you, I mean, ever since I was a teenager, I've wanted to make the world a better place. But then specifically 2 years ago, April was in that quest and came out of that stupor and just had this idea of hosting this extraordinary experiment. And we came up with 13 challenges. So we did this over 13 weeks, 3 months, a challenge a week. What if just doing these little things with a little extra focus, fervor, and flair, we discover that this extraordinary life is already here. Our ordinary life is extraordinary, and we discover the extraordinary in it by doing simple things. And I know that's one of the things that kept coming up in our conversations in this video, is how simple these things are. This is not rocket science. I assure you, if it were rocket science, I would not be the one leading the parade.
Well, and I think too, we have this, at least I kind of did, we have this idea that, people who live extraordinary lives are exceptionally talented, or, it's reserved for the elite or the rich or the
Yeah.
famous. And one of the things that we discuss in the course, and that I learned from you, is that that's not the case. That, you said you felt pretty ordinary, and I don't know, I felt pretty ordinary at times, and I felt like my life was pretty ordinary, but the idea that it's not about being special, it's just about living your life more consciously with some intentions and following through on some things that, as you said, are simple, but that we don't all do. um,
Right.
and
Right.
so I think that's what I loved about our conversation. It inspired me
Mm.
to want to really step into this more, and I hope that that's what it's going to do for students, because I think now more than ever we have an opportunity to make this world a better place, but it starts with us. um, and just to kind of let everybody in on a little secret, one of the things that I discovered when we were recording this course is that living an extraordinary life is actually not 100% about you. You know, it's
That's right.
it kind of involves other people, maybe a little bit more. And that's what to me is so powerful about this, because like I said, now more than ever, we need some change in our world. And I believe this course will maybe touch people in their hearts and their souls to step into that extraordinary life that's there waiting for them, so that we can make the world a better place.
Well, Debbie, I want to thank you for the opportunity to co-create this with you. It was a lot of fun, and you and I are wired similarly and also wired differently in some ways. But the thing that brings us together is this strong desire to impact others, to invite others into living inspired lives, living extraordinary lives. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity. You listening, we have an offer for you. It is an introductory offer. It requires fast action. The course is on Udemy, and you can go to ExtraOrdinaryLifeCourse.com. I'll say that again before we end the podcast. ExtraOrdinaryLifeCourse.com, and you can take advantage of the promotional pricing on this course. Debbie, thanks for joining today. Thanks for this opportunity. And together, I know we hope that we encourage and inspire thousands of people to discover this extraordinary life that we're all invited to live.